The Isle of Man has, I know you're going to come back at me on this, but I'll put the view that's out there, has caught up with other nations around us and declared an emergency today.
Yes, a very significant announcement by the Chief Minister this morning, and one that's some people will say has been slow in coming, but I don't believe that. We take considered action and look at where we should be going. And in actual fact, if you look around at some of the surrounding jurisdictions that have declared an emergency in advance of us, a lot of the things that they are going to do, we've already done. We have whole nation biosphere status. We have reviewed our agricultural support, looking at tree planting and bringing in environmental benefits. We are ahead with the active travel strategies, electric vehicle strategies. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that people don't sometimes know about. We have already got a strategy in progress, 2016-20. We've just completed, or nearly completed, one of the most comprehensive consultations on climate change, I think, that any jurisdiction
Over
has
600
undertaken.
responses, I believe.
And it's still open till the 17th, but they are very indicative of where we're going, and I think that enabled us to make a decision, and the Chief Minister consequently made the announcement today.
He's also committed to bring a climate change bill to Tynwald within the next year.
Yes, that is our intention. We were going to come out with just a strategy, which would have been an addition to the one we're operating now, with hard targets in it for 2025, 2030 and annual reviews. But we felt it was better in terms of committing our nation state, as it were, to targets of near zero or zero by 2050, banning the registration of fossil fuel cars in 2040, shadowing the UK, and also looking at banning new build fossil fuel boilers from 2025.
You say that we're ahead of the game in many respects to the surrounding jurisdictions. Why then have you not made a big song and dance about that?
Perhaps we've not been good at publicising what we do. I think it's fair
You've
to
got
say.
a cabinet office, though, with a good press room there that put releases out. It's not as if you're not equipped.
We do put releases out, but I think we're learning to be a bit smarter and more nimble, and use of social media has become prime to getting that message across. And I think you'll find over the next few months, years, we will get better at that.
You've got to the extent where you've almost been trolled.
Well,
with Jersey and with Scotland
well,
and everywhere else declaring emergencies.
They were trolling us over Jersey because Jersey has got none of the things that we have in place, and they're talking about having something in place by the end of the year. Well, we've done all that. We're ahead of the game. We will, when we put our climate change bill together, know where we're heading because we've done the consultation and we know what people want and what we can achieve. And actually, we're on a fairly good trajectory at the moment. Obviously, we still have our fossil fuel power station. We can't suck nuclear energy from France as they do in Jersey, but that will change. We have an offshore wind array agreement with Ørsted, which I hope will come online. We've just sort of seen through the consultation process that onshore wind is perhaps more acceptable to the community than it used to be. I'd like to see smaller community generation projects and legislation brought in to enable that with the MU.
And tide, what about that? We've got big tides around the Isle
We
of
have
Man.
huge tides, and I would love to say that we're going to exploit that in the near future, but we've had...
It was to do with cost, I think, previously, wasn't it? But those costs surely have come down a bit.
Well, they've been spending a lot of money. The Scottish Government spent a lot of money in the Orkney Isles trialling, and there's also been work carried out in Northern Ireland. But so far, the equipment has to be very robust. It's in a very hostile environment, and at present it is not cost effective. I wished it was. We've had one failed project where we let a lease or an agreement to go ahead, and that failed. And we would love to engage with other people, but there isn't anyone out there at the moment. Wind, I think, is where we're probably at. We can actually, with the new generation of solar, utilise solar on the island. A few years ago, the panels were not as efficient as they are now, so that will play a part. But I think in the long term, it will probably be wind, and if we could get the Orsted array up and running by the end of 2025, 2030, that would be an excellent move in the right direction.